La la. Ba-da-da. Mm. Ba-da-bow, swow, swow, bow, bow, now. Just give me a sock. Just give me a sock. Just give me a sock. Yes, we are streaming. Okay. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my lord. Okay. Hello everybody. And welcome back to Stories, The Path of Destinies. So I know we completed the main hero story, but we have so many other stories to figure out. So that's what we're gonna do. So, with that,
the clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
But what?
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Which ones have we not really done? Rescue Lapino. Rescue Lapino. Armature. Armature. Gem. 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 Armature. Let's do Lapino. You can't make new old friends. The rebellion was out of time, and Renardo. Oh my god, bless me. I'm so sorry. Renardo needed a game changer. Even though Lapino wasn't what anyone could consider a game changer, he could come up with some harebrained schemes. Maybe rescuing him was worth it.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Renato could use that somehow. What to do with the knowledge about Lapino's treason? Renato would be foolish to trust Lapino again. He should confront him, or better yet, find a way to use the traitor against his new master, the Emperor. Maybe Lapino could be a game changer after all. So this, I think if I remember correctly, this leads down the, true ending. So let's do this one. But he was prepared to forget about that. What to do with the knowledge about Lapino's treason? Who knows? Maybe Lapino's treason was all just a fluke due to unfortunate circumstances. Yes, that's right. Renato could just rescue his friend and forget anything bad had happened. Yeah.
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Wait a minute, what's going on? Why do we have the armature and the, thingamabob?
Renato felt a little better.
Swords are all fully upgraded, right? Yeah. And so are the gems, if I remember. Yep.
right by his side. People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the Raven's call about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice.
Try to remember all my abilities.
Reynardo thought of the Iblis stone and shivered. He had no business messing with ancient, cruel artifacts. What he needed was his friends around him. Clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose.
Oh my god.
Boy, with this device he could travel at night, so long as there were ravens to set on fire.
Ooh, yay, chest.
Sorry, mustache, thought Reynardo.
It's been so long since I played this game. I don't remember how I left off. We could go down the well. We have 1 skill point. How do I use hookshot again? Y. Oh. Dash through enemies. Further increase maximum sword energy. Sure, let's do that. Down the well we go. Delicious.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest.
Hey, you.
Dirty and bloody, Reynardo finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Bernardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Well, this one's new, so we have to do it. The Eye of a Lost God must hold great power. Reynardo and Lapino were back together, but Reynardo still needed a game changer to save the rebellion. Even though Reynardo could no longer get the Sky Ripper's armature, its core was still within reach. Maybe he could still harness its power with Lapino's help.
The Sky Ripper, the transcendent Emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Bernardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lapino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lapino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy.
Hell yeah.
He sure had. Reynardo told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend. True, the core was capable of terrible, uncontrollable destruction.
Yeah, we should know. It's
This
following us right now.
He was sure it would work great.
Yeah, sure. It'll work
It's
fantastically.
beautiful here, thought Reynardo. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company.
Get the Sky Ripper core.
Ah, Zenobia. Now that he knew she still loved him, he wanted to go back to her. But that hadn't worked out, had it? Maybe it was time to find the core of the Sky Ripper.
Down the well we go. Ugh. One energy, how dare you?
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. If only he had a portal onto the Emperor's ship, this would be a short war. Reynardo felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds, if you didn't count the ravens. Reynardo smelled sick animals and dying ones. No healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this, Reynardo thought. Maybe Lapino was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. How? Precision. Velocity. The device was good. Let's buy the drink. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy. Like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides.
Ooh, that's
It
not
wasn't
good.
healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it. Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato.
Yeah.
But what if Lupino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself.
Let's see. No, the core was far too important to entrust to Lupino. The core of the Skyripper, even without the armature, there had to be a way to tap its power. The scientists of the Nexus could certainly know how to do that. Could Renato really rely on Lupino to bring it to their observatory? No, it was too risky. He would have to carry the core himself, even if doing so would expose him to his unhealthy aura. Anything to get rid of this creepy feeling, Renato thought. The core of the Skyripper, even without the armature, there had to be a way to tap its power. The scientists of the Nexus could certainly know how to do it. If he could rely on Lupino to bring them the core, Renato would instead assault an Imperial outpost and gain valuable intel for the rebellion. He would always also stay away from the core's unhealthy aura.
Lupino,
Let's do this one.
touchy rabbit. Renato knew that. You're brave, I know, Renato said. But this is what I was hired to do. Oh, well, at least let me run ahead and warn them you're coming. Renato wondered if Lupino was up to no good. What if the rabbit warned the Empire instead? Oh, but Lupino wouldn't betray him like that. Not again. Before it'd been a fluke, right?
Yeah,
They
fluke.
finished the trip to the Nexus in silence. He would offer Lupino a chance to betray him, or not to. His old friend deserved another chance to prove true. All right, Renato said. Go.
Da, da, da. And we're back at this horrible place. Ugh.
As Renato watched Lupino vanish on the horizon, he could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Would his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off to Lupino? That was a recipe for disaster.
Oh, we're getting sicker. Our health is slowly dropping. That's not good. god.
Reynardo felt worse. All his joints were aching now. He'd been through beatings that felt better than this. So the core had a kind of poison that could harm you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. A piecemeal death, like old age.
Piecemeal death? I never heard that type of language before.
The Nexus Observatory had some of the Empire's greatest scientists. If anyone could rig the core into a useful weapon, and even better, make it stop leaking poison, it would be them.
Whoop. Ew. Ugh. Oh no, they're dead again. God damn it, Lupino!
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Bernardo found the mad rabbit cowering under a desk. The ravens, they must have known we were coming, said Lupino.
Yeah, what a
How did
coincidence.
you... Well, see, I was doing a card trick with my lucky deck, and I kind of bobbled the cards, so I went under the desk to gather them up, and boom! I guess we'll have to take the car straight to the secret base. Bernardo wasn't sure he believed that, but Lupino was talking so fast. He always seemed to make sense. The secret rebel base. Yes. They had engineers there. But wait. Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with the naked core.
Let's see, to the High Sage, the scientists on the Nexus were all dead, and with them gone, so was the plan to turn the core into a super weapon. But there was one more scientist, Calveras, was the expert on the Sky River, but did he have the necessary equipment alone out there in the mountains? Or to the secret base, the scientists on the Nexus were all dead, and with them gone, so was the plan to turn the core into a super weapon. Reynardo could still bring the core to the rebel base. The engineers there could tinker something, hopefully before he dies from the core's poisoning. Let's do this one.
The core was killing him. He needed help. The sage, Calaveras, had given him the maps to find the armature and the core. If anyone knew the true name of the Transcendent Emperor, if anyone knew how to assemble the Sky Ripper, Calaveras did. If anyone could heal Reynardo and render the core safe, at least to its bearer, surely it was he.
I wonder what ending we're gonna get.
The base of the mountain was the only safe place for a landing. He would have to continue on foot, muscles aching. Calaveras was a scholar, not a doctor. Could he really save Reynardo from the poison radiating from the lost god's eye he was so recklessly carrying?
Wait, is that actually like it? It's radiation? Like the eye is radioactive, that's why he's getting all sick. In one end, they did make reference to like a bomb.
I'm just trying to teach you how to fly. Oh, this was not a fun way to die. Even if he survived. No one would write ballads about the fox whose knees ached forever, would they? Not unless he paid for it. And he hated paying for publicity. This was the craziest weapon he ever used. It was chilling walking through the living mountains. There was always noise up ahead. Insects, birds, the croak and flutter of ravens arranging ambushes. But close by, there was only the breeze and the trickle of melting snow. As if every living thing was holding its breath for his poisonous burden to move on. How about a floating platform that simply just goes to the top?
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Time was running out for the rebellion. They might already be fighting the Imperial fleet. Everything hinged on Calaveras' ability to turn an exiled god's eye into something deadly.
I'm so curious about what ending we'll get. Hey, Boo.
The core! Splendid! Croaked Calaveras. Where's the armature?
Right, I was kind of hoping you wouldn't need it.
No, I don't. It's just a professional interest. We've got much better prismatics than the old TE ever did.
So Calaveras was an arcane engineer. He fussed at the core all day. He wrapped it with silver chains, and in front of it, he placed a huge, round ruby, so that it looked like a monstrous, floating eye. Ah, so, what is it?
Yeah, I call it the Oculum. It's my very first death ray.
Ooh.
And it won't poison me?
Oh, no. It's completely safe now.
Anything I should watch out for?
Yeah, try to avoid pointing at any mirrors.
As he loaded the oculum onto the Farfarer, Bernardo was a little concerned about Calaveras. People who were utterly sure of themselves, he had found, were either experts or horribly wrong. Or both. But Bernardo only needed to fire the oculum once. He only needed to destroy one ship. The Emperor's ship. And the war was over. Bernardo plunged into the Imperial fleet. He felt the oculum humming. He no longer felt sick. This was going to be fun. Or at least, it was going to be over.
Ooh. And now we're back at the battle. Oh my god.
Bernardo resisted the temptation to fire the oculum until the time came. He could sense its arcane energies yearning to escape the sage's wrappings. But it wasn't eating him alive. So that was a plus. He
Yes.
felt good about himself. He'd saved a friend, he'd helped the rebels, he'd relied on himself, but he'd listened to others. He felt like the right sort of hero. Wise, yet decisive. Calaveras had been so sure it would work. Maybe he could fire it just a few times. No harm in that, right? But only when he absolutely needed to. It was like having a pen. Well, like having a goblet for a pen.
Go, 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 go. We are getting so badass. Go, 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 go.
He was tempted to just stand on the device and let it do all the killing for him. But, sport, wouldn't it? Or fun. Renado's arm was getting tired. The core was no longer eating at him, but he still felt weak. His stamina was shot. But he had the oculum. When the ravens swarmed him, it would sometimes fire its death ray. It seemed to be warming up too, firing more and more often. Maybe he should let it cool off. He decided to stop using it entirely.
I wonder how it's gonna end. The Oculus has to overload. Or something. It has to. Bow, bow, bow. Woo! dun, 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 bah, bah. Oh, hell yes.
Odd. The oculum was still hot to the touch. He almost thought it was getting even hotter. Well, that was ridiculous, of course. Anyway, he'd only to fire it one more time, and then he could chuck the whole contraption into the abyss. And the Emperor's ship was now in range. Reynardo squinted. He could make out the line of ravens protecting the ship. Zenobia in front, conjuring. And on the deck, yes, that was His Imperial Majesty, pacing in his golden armor. Reynardo lined up his shot and fired. Caught in the beam, the ship burst into flames. The ravens and Zenobia exploded. The Emperor, too, exploded.
Damn.
Reynardo waited for the beam to stop, but it only got brighter, and the oculum hotter. Frantic, Reynardo pulled the oculum towards the abyss. The ruby burst into flames. The shiny metal casing glowed, then melted. That was good. Now the core could cool off, right? Reynardo ran. The blast incinerated him instantly, along with both fleets. The shockwave could be felt across all Erda. That winter, with neither Empire nor rebels to rule them, the islands slid into banditry. And so began the Second Age of Darkness.
Oh. New story completed. Story number 18. The Fox Whose Knees Hurt. What kind of hero are you? A hero who seeks balance and who makes wise yet decisive decisions. Water essence. Well, let's see. Choices made. Rescue Lupino, find the core, meet the scientist, meet Calvaris. The Skyripper was a legendary weapon that could banish the gods themselves. It was split into two pieces, a core and its armature. Reynardo had lost the armature to save a friend, but he had the core, a naked core, pulsating with energy, bleeding in a healthy poison, slowly killing anyone who would carry it. So it began a race against time to turn the core into a weapon. The road was fraught with bad luck, and Reynardo was forced to visit a hermit, a retired scholar who had very little chance to save the day. But the scholar knew exactly what to do, and just like that, Reynardo had a super weapon. But as the rebels and Empire fought in the battle, a giant blast incinerated the entire battlefield, and at the center of the blast, Reynard and his super weapon. Oops. What kind of hero are you? A hero who seeks balance, who makes wise yet decisive decisions. Ah. Well. Continue. So that time it didn't work out, but there's gotta be a way. And Calvaris was so sure.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Skyripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Which one should we do now? We've done a lot with like choosing the Iblis Stone, the Sky Ripper. Maybe we should do another one with finding Lupino. You can't make new old friends. The rebellion without time Renard needed a game changer. Even though Lupino wasn't that anyone could consider a game changer, he could come up with some harebrained schemes. Maybe rescuing him was worth it.
Renato finally realized that Lupino was a traitor to the cause. And
or was he?
Maybe Renato could use that somehow.
This one. But he was prepared to forget about that. What do you do with knowledge about Lupino's treason? Who knows? Maybe Lupino's treason was all just a fluke due to unfortunate circumstances. Yes, that's right. Renato could just rescue his friend and forget anything bad had ever happened. Exactly.
Ah, Lupino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lupino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. Lupino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lupino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lupino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait. Where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Bring it.
That was odd. Renato had been here, at this exact place, at this exact time. But this time, there were so many more Ravens.
There are too many Ravens, you're saying?
Renato thought of the Iblis Stone and shivered. He had no business messing with ancient, cruel artifacts. What he needed was his friends around him. Clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose.
But you can still lose. That's happened so many times with the Iblis Stone. We go grab it, we lose.
There was still no sign of Lupino. Not a hair. Not a pellet. Was he hiding in the cemetery further down the road? That didn't seem like him. newly remembered knowledge. We needed to focus.
We will in a sec.
Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in his face. Yeah. Maybe he was overthinking this. Well, that would be a first.
Okay, new ability time. Time Mastery. Freeze time for everyone but Renato when countering an attack at the last second lasts a few seconds. Getting stronger. Kick and throw distances are increased. Countering now causes damage. 15. I feel like we should get more. Let's do hooked enemies.
Hey! Wanna hook up?
Boo! Terrible joke. What's up?
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck.
Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him.
On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Let's see. Find Zenobia. Lapino's plan do not take. Find Zenobia. Let's do find Zenobia. Pay a call on Zenobia. Renato and Lapino were back together, but Renato still needed a game changer to save the rebellion. Maybe Lapino was right. Maybe they should go kidnap the Emperor's only daughter and greatest general, Zenobia, extracting intel of her would turn the tide of this
Zenobia
war.
wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato's best friend in sword fu school. And you're still mad for her.
The rabbit reminded him. The rabbit had a point. And Renato had a feeling she'd want to see him again. Who knows what could happen between the two of them this time around?
She knows all his plans, chuckled the master spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right, said Lapino. Taking her would change the game, all right.
The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Captured Zenobia. Will do. Consider her caught. Because if I remember correctly, in order to catch her, we need to do Lapino's weird plan. If I remember correctly. Gimme.
Felt bad for littering, but these islands were short on trash cans. Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. And there must be some way to play on that, Renato thought. These things really slice like ham.
Why would you say that?
So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato.
Go for Lupino's geese, net, fire, toad, watermelon plan. No time for harebrained schemes. Go with the plan.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan.
I forget, what does the purple sword do again? Just speeds everything up, if I remember correctly. Ow. Okay, let's do this.
Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Lupino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat.
Renato, she said. Are those new scars? They look good on you. You never returned my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Ah, what does an imperial princess know about style?
Ah, get a room, you two, said Lupino, probably sensing the chemistry.
But the fleet was coming on fast, so they took Zenobia east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye, without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter.
Renato was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea, but was he letting his own feelings get the better of him?
Wait, what? But I thought we did this. Okay, never mind. I thought we did this before. Trying to get Zenobia to turn against her father. Renato and Lupino had a plan. Take Zenobia to the rebel interrogators and use her secrets to wreak havoc on the Imperial fleet. But he knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just go all in, play the feelings card, and win her over here and now. No need for interrogators. Stick to the plan. Renato and Lupino had a plan. Take Zenobia to the rebel interrogators and use her secrets to wreak havoc in the Imperial fleet. But he knew she still had feelings for him. Well, maybe it was inappropriate to play the feelings card on account of her being a prisoner and all. Maybe it was best to stick to the original plan. Stick to the plan or manipulate. I think these are the only two. Accept and do not take to interrogators. Reject. Let's go with feelings.
Said Renato. Let's not do this. Let's not do what? Asked Zenobia. Look, you're the Emperor's right hand. You are going to have me interrogated. He said, sure, yeah, but then I remembered how you feel about me. How I feel about you. You are going to have me interrogated. But I didn't. Because you care about me, said Renato. Well, guess again, Buster. She said, and she pushed him off his own boat.
Damn.
As he plummeted towards the bottomless clouds of the abyss, Renato decided that he'd not really handle the situation with his usual finesse.
Oh, he
He
died.
had tried
Okay.
something bold and paid the price for it.
Okay.
The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Damn, I can't believe she did us like that. I was like, yay, love's gonna win. She proved us wrong. Love does not always win.
A present? For me?
Yeah. Damn. God, I love these things.
Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously, it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. Yeah, there must be some way to play on that, Renato thought. Boy, if looks could kill.
No, no, no. Why don't I get XP from these guys? It's irritating that we don't. Irritating.
So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato.
Go for his plan.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan.
Let's go fight these guys for the experience.
Kill the fox! Caught the ravens. Nobody said they were original.
Let's go.
Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Pino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped at the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat.
Delicious.
Renato, she said. Are those new scars? They look good on you. You never return my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Ah, what does an imperial princess know about style? Ah, get a room, you two,
Said Lupino, probably sensing the chemistry.
But the fleet was coming on fast, so they took Zenobia east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye. Without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter.
Renato was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea, but was he letting his own feelings get the better of him?
Stick to the plan. Renato and Lupino had a plan. Take Zenobia to the rebel interrogators and use her secrets to wreak havoc in the Imperial fleet. But he knew she still had feelings for him. Well, maybe it was inappropriate to play the feelings card on account of her being a prisoner and all. Maybe it's best to stick to the original plan.
Lupino was right, Renato thought reluctantly. She knows things. She recognized his look. You're taking me to the interrogators, aren't you? She said, wide-eyed. And then she jumped, with horror. Renato saw Zenobia plummeting. Then he saw the Nexus below them. Cats always land on their feet. Ah, she'll head for the Imperial outpost, yelled Lupino. You have to catch her.
I still can't believe... I'll trust her. She loves us. She kicks us off into the void. Can't believe you.
Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. If he ran, he could head her off before she reached her minions at the outpost. Well, he did love a good chase.
Bum ba da da da.
He was closing on her. He could smell her fear. He tried not to think about the interrogators at the secret base. What did they do to her? Maybe it didn't have to end that way. Maybe he could talk to her. But, after all, there were worse things the Imperials had done to friends of his.
Yeah.
How could he have let her escape? Why hadn't he shackled her? Renato wasn't used to being on this side of the whole prisoner-jailer thing. Renato reached the outpost. The Imperials there were no match for him. Soon after, Zenobia limped up the path. When she realized he was already in front of her, she didn't even try to run. Oh, you left without saying goodbye. Again, he said, "Please, you're enjoying this a little too much," she said, shaken. "Oh, spare us the chit-chat, would you?" said Lapino as he shackled her hands so she couldn't throw spells. She knows all his plans. All the way back to the Farfarer, Lapino nagged Renato about how the interrogators would pry all the intel out of Zenobia. How that would turn the tides in the imminent battle. All they had to do was take her to the rebel secret base. Renato didn't like to think about what the interrogators would do to her. Couldn't he just talk to her?
This is too cruel. Keep the rebel base. Once again, Zenobia was Renato's prisoner. The next stop would be the rebel base. But the things the interrogators would do, Renato would skip the base and find Zenobia access. So we basically we rescued Lapino, we found Zenobia, we did his plan. So this time, yeah, we'll take her to the interrogators. Take her to the rebel base and win the war. Once again, Zenobia was Renato's prisoner. The next stop would be the rebel base. The things the interrogators would do to her. The thought made Renato shudder, but it was necessary so they would win the war. Yes, he would take Zenobia to the secret rebel base.
As they reached the ruins, Renato could see ravens everywhere, searching for the rebel base. They'd have to hide the Farfarer or go on foot. "What if we get separated?" asked Lapino, for once thinking ahead. "I'll draw you a map to the base." Renato told Lapino. "Renato, don't do this," said Zenobia. "We were friends once. We..." "Shut it, witch, or I'll shackle your mouth too," said Lapino. See? Renato thought. There was no way Lapino was working for the Empire. He really hated Zenobia. And then, a few moments later, they touched down.
Ooh, I wonder how this one's gonna end. I wonder if Zenobia's gonna die. Or is she gonna betray us? Well, I guess she's not really betraying
pulled
us.
Zenobia off the Farfarer, Renato readied himself for the battle ahead. "I'm sorry I nicked your jacket," she said. "It's just... oh God. It's stupid, but it smelled like you." "What?" he said, confused. "Then... why didn't you ride? Why didn't you far speak?" "Oh, save the romantic nostalgia. Let's go!" shrieked Lapino. So Renato launched himself down the path to the secret base. About Hypatia. Oh, she'd been an amazing rabbit. She could talk to him about comics, and talk to her son about history and battles, and talk to scholars about the ancient tomes hidden deep in the vaults of the library of Ubar. Oh, Renato really missed her. Renato was walking Zenobia to the rebel secret base, where she would be interrogated. So, why was he feeling so scared? He knew the known knowns, and even some of the known unknowns. But he didn't know the unknown unknowns. You dig?
No, I do not dig.
They caught their breath. "It's beautiful," she said, looking at the ruins. "This used to be the library of Ubar," he said. "Before your father's ravens smashed it." "Do we have to talk politics?" she asked. That's not how I want to remember you, she said with an odd, wistful look at her face. She was as beautiful as she'd ever been, and as brave. Lapino huffed. They got back on the trail.
No!
Say goodnight, Gracie, said Renato, wondering who Gracie was.
Whoopty. Come on. Thank you.
The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Open sesame. Ooh, excuse me.
As they made their way to the secret rebel base, Renato felt strange. Zenobia was his prisoner, yet somehow she felt more like an old friend. He wanted to tell her all his secrets, but suddenly the ruins lit up with thousands of fireworks. There was a thunderous roar and dust rose. The caves were collapsing. The caves? You've been playing me? Renato said, and he stared at Zenobia. I'm sorry, she said, and she seemed almost embarrassed. Then everything went dark. When Renato came to, he had a terrible headache. Also, Zenobia's sword was at his throat. And her shackles were gone. So was Lapino. The terrible thing is, he said, I really have missed you. Now that we've destroyed the rebellion, would you consider becoming an advisor to the Emperor's daughter? I'm no one's servant. Everybody serves. Even if it's only destiny. I like to choose my own destinies, he said. The whole point of a destiny is you can't choose. Oh, never mind, she said. Look, if I see you again, I'll have to kill you. He watched her ship soar away. He would see her again, he decided.
Oh,
Even if
damn.
he had to fight his way across the entire fleet.
How's this one gonna end differently?
The Imperial fleet was cleaning up the few rebel remnants. For only a moment, he thought about running. But heroes don't run, even when the world is against them. Even when their cause is hopeless, and their efforts futile, and pointless, and useless, and death painful and guaranteed. He's decided to stop thinking for a while.
Kill the Emperor.
A portal that led right into the middle of the fleet, into the glaring weakness in the defense.
Let's go. Let's do this. Come on. Bow. Bow, bow, dow, 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 dow.
Renaro's arm was sore, his armor wet with raven blood. He was tired of death. But death was not yet tired of him. The rebels were losing. Badly. In some other universe, Renaro thought, he and Zenobia had left Sword Fu School together, taken other names and sailed off into the mists. But not this Zenobia, and not him. For him, there was nothing to do but forge ahead. Kill the Emperor and end this.
How's this gonna be different, baby? Oh my god. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Ooh, this time we're battling.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
Damn, we're amazing.
At last,
Okay, let's see
he
this
reached
ending.
the Emperor's ship. Zenobia was there. Why'd you have to come back? She said, guess I'm just serving my destiny. He shrugged. You don't even know what that word means. She said, do you ever wonder if things have been different all the time? She said, and drew her sword. In the end, Bernardo lay bleeding out on the deck. Zenobia sat by his side, upset. What are you so upset about? He asked. You wouldn't understand. Why didn't you tell me you were going to leave school? I was afraid you'd convince me not to. I guess I'll have to buy you a drink in the halls of the Valiant then, he told her. And then he was gone.
Oh my goodness. New story completed. Story number 10. Walking the Cat. What kind of hero are you? A hero who doesn't run even when the whole world is against him. Reward. 20 ore. Story number 10. Walking the Cat. Rescue Lupino, find Zenobia. Except Lupino's plan takes Zenobia to the interrogators. Zenobia was the Mad Emperor's daughter and his greatest general. Interrogating her could expose enemy secrets and turn the tides of the war. So Renardo and Lupino set out to capture her, and against all expectations, succeeded. But little did Renardo know that her capture was a ploy by the Emperor to find out the location of the secret rebel base and destroy it. He took Zenobia to the interrogators and all hell broke loose. Swearing vengeance, Renardo chased after Zenobia. He, unfortunately, was no match for her, and with a hint of sadness, she killed the fox. What kind of hero are you? A hero who doesn't run, even when the whole world is against him. We haven't done a lot of Lupino stories, which is confusing to me. Continue.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose.
Ah, it's quaint.
The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness.
Mayhaps.
And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Renardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Which one to do now? Find the core, meet the scientist, meet Calvaris. Find the core, meet the scientist, meet Calvaris. Which one should we do? Let's do the Iblis Stone. Find the temple. The rebellion was out of time and Renardo needed a game changer. A mysterious temple had risen out of the desert. The Emperor has sent his ravens to search for the Iblis Stone. The ancient artifact may contain power to bring them
The
empire.
island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renardo was sure he could master it. And so, Renardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Sorry, I was just checking something. There's no reason to go to those chests. I need to stop doing that. I'm just wasting time.
What was he doing here? Last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul.
Yes, but that was last time. This time it'd be different.
Cawing in frustration. He was still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Look, it's not personal, but
You're so terrible.
What the fuck?
How dare you?
So close. So close to leveling up. It's through here, right? And a boop.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis Stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people. Renato felt new powers, ready to blossom within him. Or something.
Yes.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Okay. Hook shot speed. Increase roll speed of the hook shot. Ooh. Let's get the top row now. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get the top row done. There. All these are upgraded now.
This wasn't actually such a hard puzzle, come to think of it.
What's up?
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Not the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Oh, I remember that. This one's a trap. The clever plan to use the gem. The Misnow was promised great power. Renato knew that its power came at a cost. He thought of a clever way to power without its evil. Renato's clever plans did in fact tend to see the backfire. If I remember, he used like a mirror of splitting, and he splits it between the power and the evil. And that doesn't work out well. Find the core. Let's do Zenobia. Blood and death for Iblis, the Iblis Stone. It promised great power in exchange for the blood of Zenobia, who was once close to Renardo, but she was also the Emperor's only daughter and greatest general. If it meant gaining enough power to turn the tide of war and even defeat the Emperor, it might be worth a sacrifice.
Why was he listening to a talking rock? Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old Toad had sought for himself.
Damn.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
Oh no.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? These souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it.
This was going to be interesting.
Oh my god. We're glowing blue and purple right now. The balance between good and evil.
Say hi to Gravity for me. The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
What now?
The market. It was going to be full of gogglers, wasn't it? Oh, it'd have been so much more fun before the war. When the worst thing that could happen to you was getting fleeced buying a rug.
Yeah.
You blinked. Zenobia was waiting for Renardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Oh, that's just rude. Damn. wonder, what am I gonna choose?
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
We're obviously doing the new option. Spare Zenobia, the Iblis Stone, and promise great power in exchange for the blood of Zenobia. Now that she was at his mercy, could Renato really kill her? They had been close in their youth. He could spare Zenobia, but he had doubted she would just throw herself in his arms.
Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Renato least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move. "This thing is evil," she said.
She slid the Iblis stone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag.
"Maybe we can learn from it." She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. "I missed you too." And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblis stone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace.
And, after all, it was evil, wasn't it?
Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Renato. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer.
Ooh, I thought she was gonna kill us. I'm excited now. I was expecting her to like, yes, I have the stone now. And it's like, no!
Renato felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You were a sucker for an empowered woman. Renato kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again.
Bow, 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 bow. Let's do this, baby.
Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it?
Well, yes, but he still longed to have it back.
He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil?
Bow, 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 bow. Oh my goodness. Ooh, hell yeah. Boop. Good, they're all still alive. I thought she would get possessed by it and, like, kill them.
The scientist toads were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections.
Mine,
Said Reynardo as he took back the stone.
well, we need it for science,
Croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too.
I thought you'd never come for me.
Whispered the stone. Then, a far speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Leonardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. Will kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar. But Reynardo had an army to lead, an empire to bring down.
It couldn't hurt to listen to the Zenobia, at least. Zenobia, the Emperor's adopted daughter and greatest general, gave Reynardo a dire warning. The stone would swallow his soul. Maybe she was right and he was dealing with powers far beyond his grasp. They were enemies, but she had never lied to him. Maybe he should throw the Iblis stone away. Kill the Far Speaker and go lead the rebels to victory. Zenobia, the Emperor's adopted daughter and greatest general, gave Reynardo a dire warning. The stone would swallow his soul. It had to be a lie, of course. She would say that. She had to stop him from leading the rebels to victory. Yes, he should head for the rebel base and win this war. Both of them are new. I feel like I vaguely know what's gonna happen with this one. It's gonna eat her soul and then we're gonna kill everyone. This one, I don't really know what's gonna happen.
Zenobia continued in the far speaker's croak.
You let me live. You know how evil it is. It will destroy you, Leonardo. It will destroy everything you love.
He had tried to convince himself that this time he would control the Iblis stone. But he could feel his will becoming brittle. She was right. He would get rid of it.
right? Now. Or now. He didn't really want to. I know. I'll go to the mountains, Reynardo thought. I'll find the strength to do it in the peace and quiet there. As the Farfarer landed at the foot of the mountains, Reynardo was surprised to find Lapino there. What
The hell?
are you doing here? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was stowed away on an Imperial courier ship, dressed up as a combat nurse carrying a general's beak transplant.
This is not a great time, said Reynardo, who was pretty sure he did not, in fact, believe Lapino's story.
That's when you need your friends, said Lapino. I just need some peace and quiet, said Reynardo, and grimly set out on the path.
Lapino, what the hell are you doing here? Now I 1000% for sure have no idea what's going on. Or what's going to happen. Fuck. What is Lapino gonna do? Is he gonna try and take the stone away from us? Are we gonna have a full... My precious! Boop ba doo 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 doo.
Hey, you kind of cute. Not really.
Yay, perfect.
Bernardo told his friend how he had slaughtered the toads and how he had nearly slain Zenobia.
A terrible burden, this Iblis stone.
Sympathized the rabbit. Yeah, but I need it. For the rebellion.
Do you now? You know, you were a pretty fine fighter before you were wielding a demonic decoration.
Oddly, the sword wasn't whispering at him to kill Lupino. Up ahead in the mountains, there was a peaceful spot. If he could rid himself of his burden anywhere, it was there.
I swear to God, Lupino, if you steal the Iblis stone and turn evil, oh my God. I swear to God, if that's what happens. Perfect. Where does this go? Excuse you, dickface. Oh, how dare you attack me? That's just a chest over there. I don't really care about that.
Bernardo thought it would make a difference, snatching the Iblis stone before the Emperor could get it. But it would destroy him. Zenobia and Lupino, they were both trying to save him. That was what he needed.
Zenobia absolutely is trying to save us. I don't doubt that. Lupino, though.
So much for peace and quiet. There was Lupino. Again.
You're stronger than some dumb rock, Lupino said. Let's just bury it, and no one will ever find it again.
Bernardo could feel the spirit energy of all those dead ravens inside him, pecking away. The rabbit was right. Even if the rabbit was a traitor, he was still right. He tore the Iblis stone from his gauntlet and threw it into the hole Lupino had dug. Stone was silent. Probably sulking.
Now whoop those Imperials, said Lapino. Are you coming? Ah, no, I can't come with you. It's my old injury, you know. Recently, it's been acting up terrible. I'd be no use to you at all. So Renato boarded the Farfarer alone.
I swear to
Renato
God.
felt lonely on board the Farfarer. How could his old friend Lapino, miraculously escaped from the Empire, leave him to face the final battle alone? Well, he'd abandoned Lapino before, hadn't he? It was only fair. And of course he felt lonely. He'd given up the Iblis Stone and all the souls he fed it. Of course he felt alone. But he had done the right thing. It had been hard to do, but there was no better feeling than that. Zenobia would be so proud of him.
Swear to God, Lapino, if you have the goddamn Iblis Stone when we see you, I'm gonna tear your ears out.
Was not going well. He no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core. Lapino wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds.
Fuck you. How dare you harm me? How dare you harm me? Don't you know who I am? I'm the guy who had the Iblis Stone. What's wrong with this game?
Yes, that was it. Pirouette, slash, parry, dodge. Renato had never done such good work in a fight. He wished the poets were allowed to sing of his exploits for his old age. Maybe he wouldn't have to kill Zenobia. Maybe he could defeat her and take her prisoner. Then he could turn the tide against the Emperor. If she wasn't crowned princess, once this was all over, she'd have more time for him, right?
Whoop. Hey.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
Oh my god. Fucking. Oh my god, you're such an idiot. Do that. Thank you. Whew. How's this one
By
gonna
some
end?
miracle, Renato fought his way to the Emperor's ship. He was exhausted, bleeding, but he'd found the strength to reject the stone. Zenobia came out of the ship. "Renato!" she shouted, and then she fell down and died. Lapino was behind her, wielding a sword that seemed to suck all the light out of the sun. "You idiot! You threw the stone away!" cried Lapino. "You said it was evil." "It hates sanctimonious prigs like you," laughed Lapino. "We're having a grand old time." Renato turned and ran. But no matter where he ran, Lapino jumped in front of him until Renato was cornered. That boy could hop. "You wouldn't do this to an old friend, would you?" cried Renato. "You mean this?" said Lapino as he slid the sword into Renato's guts.
Oh, damn.
Again?
New story completed. Story number 2. What are friends for? What kind of hero are you? A hero who doesn't need diabolic encoutrement to beat the insurmountable odds. 5 wind essence. Find gem, find Zenobia. Spare Zenobia, throw the gem. The Iblis stone. It demanded blood and death in exchange for great power. And then slowly it would corrupt the soul, but the power of friendship for Zenobia, who was supposed to be an enemy, made Renato aware of the gem's corruption. Then Lapino, the old war buddy, who was not even supposed to be in this story, found the right words to say so that finally Renato would bury the gem. Proudly, Renato attacked the Imperial fleet, free from the gem, relying on his own strength, and then he met Lapino again. This time the rabbit was not so friendly. Worse, he held the Iblis stone. Renato had been played, and died at the hands of an invincible mad rabbit. Ah, the power of friendship. What kind of hero are you? A hero who doesn't need diabolic accoutrement to beat the insurmountable odds. Yes, okay. Well, we still have so many stories to find. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo-hoo. Let's try again.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's do the Sky Ripper. Build the Sky Ripper. The rebellion was out of time and Renato needed a game changer. An ancient artifact that defeated the lost gods would indeed be a game changer. Though it was split into many pieces years ago, Renato could rebuild it, first getting the armor shard.
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor
Excuse
had
me.
buried its pieces deep. And then, this Emperor's horrific sacrifices had brought it back to the surface. Renato wasn't exactly sure how to use the legendary weapon. But surely, there must be some way to do it without provoking another catastrophe.
Hopefully.
Had he somehow summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Renato could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it.
Would he, though?
As he set foot on the island, Bernardo couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Bernardo felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it.
Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Bernardo never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
Ow!
Hey, how do you tell if someone's far away, but it's really small?
Oh my goodness.
The people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the Lost Gods, thousands of thousands had died. But Bernardo had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
Oh my goodness. Yum yum yum. This way? If I remember correctly, it's just this lever and then this one. Yeah, easy.
Bernardo chuckled. It was the same puzzle. He wished he had his friends here, so he could amaze them. There it was.
Yeah.
Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway.
The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
Hell yeah. Let's get the core. You need to go to the core of Sky Ripper, obviously. Right now I found the armature in Sky Ripper, but at the core it would be an empty and useless shell. The only reason one would seek the armature was to build the legendary weapon that had once banished the Lost Gods. Obviously Bernardo should get the core.
It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good, no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that.
Yeah.
The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core.
Doubt sunk in before he was even out of sight of the Farfarer. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? It was the sort of path he'd always avoided. The path of responsibility, of seriousness. Had he grown up? He didn't feel grown up. He'd made this decision from his gut, like he always did. Somehow, he'd impulsively decided to stop being impulsive. Did that make any sense?
Oh, there's nothing over for us. Okay, down the well.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Portal to go through another universe. And if so, could the lost gods use one of them to return from exile? The thought made him shiver.
There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
Hell yeah. The core.
The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away.
Oh, thank
Now
God.
he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus.
Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah, that made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move.
There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it.
Let's see. Meet the scientists. Meet Calvaris. Attack the outposts. So we've done both. So so it doesn't really matter. We just gotta pick the different one. Let's seek help from the scientists. The Sky Ripper was complete. The super weapon could put an end to the Emperor's madness. But had Renaro assembled it correctly, would it work at the critical moment? The scientists on the necklace should give answers.
Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist or two look at it. And even if they disagreed and he had time, you could ask Calaveras himself. Yes, the observatory would be his objective.
Yay! And then after this, we just pick the different one.
Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it? The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. And, hopefully this time, just his destruction.
Yes, hopefully. But I doubt it. Whoop. Excuse you? Who gave you permission to attack at the same time? Well, I guess it doesn't matter, because I still love that, but still.
A legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the Emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk. Magical energy balls, immune to the laws of gravity.
One fruit. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. No, that's great. It's amazing.
Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, the Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If the Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen until our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed.
Irving still believes in string theory.
Oh my god.
At least go see Calaveras. Yeah, said the worried Toad. He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use. One way or another, there had to be a safe way to use it.
Well, this one, because it's the new one. How do you use a weapon you can't use? So the Sky River could destroy existence itself. There was the slightest chance that was true. Renardo had to assume the worst and not use the Sky Ripper. Maybe he should bring it to the rebel base. Maybe there was a way to use the super weapon without using it.
On the way to the ruins of the city of Ubar, Renato had plenty of time to ponder what the Toads had said. Strings and holes and something called anti-stuff. Well, he didn't understand any of it, but it made him nervous. Renato would hear one metaphor and decide the Sky Ripper was safe, and then another, and worry it was catastrophically dangerous. If it could destroy the entire world, nothing was worth risking that. But if it couldn't, then not using it would be an act of cowardice. Of course, it could be catastrophically dangerous. Renato knew that. But maybe it wasn't always. He would bring the Sky Ripper to the Council. Wiser heads would know what to do.
Hopefully. Hopefully. That's what you hope.
The truth was, if it wasn't safe, then it was dangerous. They couldn't use it. He'd found the Sky Ripper for nothing. He should have rescued his friend Lupino. Or he should have confronted Zenobia. He had nothing but his sword. But maybe the Council would have an idea?
Let's see. We got another upgrade. What to get? Kick and throw distance are increased. Magic sword length. Hook damage. Grab damage. Impale your enemy on your sword. Sure, why not?
The ruins. Why were so many ravens scouring the ruins? Had someone betrayed the secret base?
Maybe.
The rebellion was in trouble. They'd have to attack, brandishing a super weapon they could not use. It could work. A raven cawed, "There he is!" And they ran away, cawing. They knew he had the core, didn't they? And they were afraid of it. Little did they know, he couldn't use it. Wait, if they didn't know he couldn't use it... Yes! A sword can be powerful without ever being drawn from its scabbard. Renato hated gogglers. It freaked him out to cut them.
Turn around.
long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Okay, what do we do? What's the plan?
Renato barely made it to the hideout when he was shoved into a meeting room. He laid out his plan. They were shocked. Bluff the Emperor with an unusable weapon?
Yeah, it's brilliant, laughed Renato. He keeps sending ravens, none of them come back. How does he know it's my sword?
I suppose there's no harm if it fails. Take the Sky Ripper into a firing position.
Croaked the speaker.
I shall attempt to hail him by far, Speaker.
It was a huge bluff. Renato had no cards to play. Just a weapon that could maybe destroy everything he hated and everything he loved. Could he be sure it wouldn't work? No, of course not. Of course the Emperor couldn't be sure it wouldn't work, and he must believe in ancient weapons if he hoped to bring back the lost gods, right?
Ooh.
What terms could he offer Isengrim III? Now, he would have to step down, obviously. And accept the rebellion? Was that asking too much? Maybe Renato would ask him to make Zenobia Empress. His daughter, after all. She would never sacrifice innocent kittens and puppies to bring back the lost gods. Renato had to seem confident. Overconfident, even. Like he was sure he could blow up the Emperor's ship to hell. I mean, who believes a cautious bluff?
Bluff the
was
Emperor.
heavily guarded. It must go someplace they really didn't want him to go.
Yas. Oh wow, so much fruit. It's almost like it's preparing me for something. Come on. Down.
Oh, it was strange. Fighting to place a weapon he could not use. But he could end the war tonight with just a threat. So much more humane than destroying a ship or an entire fleet. And then he would destroy the Sky Ripper in case some other adventurer was tempted. You never knew about some of these other foxes. Soon, it would all be over.
Yes, that's what you keep telling yourself, though. But we all know this is gonna end horribly. We all know. I have a feeling Zenobia is gonna be like, no, 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 I'm not gonna let you fire that weapon. And then the Emperor is gonna be like, fire! We don't believe you. And then we'll be forced to fire it. Badushki. Badushki.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up. Zenobia came out, flanked by a whole platoon of ravens. "I know you, Reynardo. You won't actually use that," she said. "I know what the scientists told you, that it would totally blow up your fleet. You're reckless, Reynardo. Bold, dashing, brave, devil-may-care, wild, impulsive, hasty, rash, sometimes even a little harebrained, a bit feckless even. You just don't think things through. Oh, get to the point, woman." "But you're not crazy." "How do you know I didn't go crazy?" demanded Reynardo, doing his very best to look crazy. "Well, go ahead then. Press the trigger." Oh, damn her. She'd seen through him again. She never fell for his bluffs. This was the moment to do something brilliant. To come up with exactly the right thing to say, to make a heroic move. That's what heroes do. But he couldn't think of anything that wasn't obviously stupid. He was too shocked to move. Her ravens came and seized the Sky Ripper. He stared as they pushed it over the side into the abyss. "Hey! Oh, I fought really hard to get that. It should never have come back." And he had to admit she was right. She had always been right. It was one of the frustrating things about her. Years later, as he rotted to his death in an Imperial prison cell, Reynardo was still trying to come up with something clever and heroic that he could have done in that last moment. But he never could.
Damn. New story completed. Story number 22, Poker Face. What kind of hero are you? A hero who can turn a hopeless situation into opportunity, who can win a war without firing a single shot. Reward level up. Ooh. Let's read it. Story number 22, Poker Face. Find the Arbiter, find the Core, meet the Scientists, meet the Council. The Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had banished the gods themselves, Reynardo assembled a super weapon. But even a hothead like him knew he should deal carefully with such an ancient and powerful artifact. He consulted with the experts who warned him that the weapon could destroy the very fabric of space and time. Reynardo's hopes were crushed, yet the ravens kept coming. Intent on stopping him, then it struck him. The Empire was likely unaware of that space-time business, so he went on with a bluff, threatening to use the Sky Ripper, forcing the Emperor to abdicate. The bluff failed, and Reynardo had no choice but to surrender. What kind of hero are you? A hero who can turn a hopeless situation into an opportunity, who can win a war without firing a single shot. I don't believe that. There's so many stories still. I think we can do one more, and then I need to stop for the day.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Let's go full evil. Find the temple. The rebellion was out of time and Renato needed a game changer. Mysterious temple had risen out of the desert. The Emperor has sent his ravens in search for the Iblis stone. The ancient artifact may contain the power to bring down the Empire.
The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it. And so, Renato went ostrich hunting.
Sure, let's call it that.
Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Yeah. Yeah, that thing. You know it well, apparently.
The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late.
One skill point. What do I want? What do I want? Increase distance. Strong recovery. Recover from being hit almost instantly and the attacker is knocked down. Sure, why not? Hell yeah. And damn, so much stuff.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most.
Hell yeah.
Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. If you can't stand the heat, he thought, stay out of the flamethrower.
There we go. Hiya.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once.
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
Yeah.
Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously.
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Gem core. Let's find Zenobia again. Blood and death for Iblis. The Iblis stone had promised great power in exchange for the blood of Zenobia, who was once close to Bernardo. But she's also the Emperor's only daughter and greatest general. If it meant gaining enough power to turn the tide of war and even defeat the Emperor, it might be worth a sacrifice.
Why was he listening to a talking rock?
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself.
Be a hero. You had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
Do you even know the meaning of enemies anymore?
As he placed the
fool.
impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the Transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
Yeah. So interesting.
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked at their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
Renato had been to a dungeon once where all the chests had teeth and
eyes.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
Yeah, maybe, sure, I don't know. Those enemies don't give XP, so why not just take the shortcut through the sewers? Ooh, my goodness.
Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug.
Hey, girl.
Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Oh, what? Girl, you know you don't do that. That's not gonna end well for you. Okay, this time we're murdering Zenobia. Murder!
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. Kill her, whispered the stone. You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem?
Yes.
But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
Feed her to the stone, the Iblis stone, and promise great power in exchange for the blood of Zenobia. Isn't that why he came here? Killing Zenobia would give him power to take the fight to the end?
With a flick of his wrist, he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened even more. And then the light went out of them. Renato felt amazing. Power was rushing into him like water from a burst dam. Oh, such brilliance, exulted the Iblis stone. Tasty.
He felt a bit bad about killing her. He was pretty sure she still loved him. But needs must when the devil drives. Renato returned to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly.
It was time to seize the outpost and let the Emperor know what he had done.
Bow. Bow. Let's do this.
The Nexus was beautiful. He never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. The black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there.
Hell yeah.
Up ahead was Lapino. What was he doing here?
Bernardo! Hey, buddy! Hey there, old buddy! Please don't kill me!
Why would I kill you? Asked Bernardo, although he had been thinking about it.
Well, you've become... no, I mean,
Just
no
kill him.
disrespect at all here. Kind of evil? Maybe you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think? See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep?
I suppose you wanted, Bernardo said, and poked Lapino in the chest for emphasis. Oh, had he just killed Lapino? Damn it.
Damn. Although we shouldn't feel that bad. Lapino's also a traitor, so it's not like...
He'd go to the outpost, use their far speaker, tell the Emperor what he'd done, and then he'd go to the secret rebel base, let them know he was ready to lead them to victory.
Hey, what's up? I'm here to murder you.
Renato rampaged through the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging. At the last moment, he remembered not to kill the far speaker toad. After all, he wanted a word with the Emperor. But there was only silence. The Emperor was scared, like little girl. Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. Yes! Applauded the Iblistone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his far speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino.
New option, let's do it. Listen to distant voices. Renardo has become an amazing warrior, all thanks to the Iblis Stone. But then there are these distant voices. Maybe he should listen to the voices go to the mountains? Yes.
What are you doing? Demanded the Iblis Stone. I need to think, Renato told it. You're not good at thinking, said the Iblis Stone. You're good at killing. It's what you do. It's your destiny. But he set sail for the mountains, where he could be alone with his thoughts. Why were there Raven Scouts here in the empty mountains? Was there nowhere he could find peace and quiet? There were other ravens here too. Shadowy ones, transparent, lining the path. Ghosts. They cawed as he passed, but they didn't try to stop him. Spectators. Had he really killed that many ravens?
I'm about to kill more. Whoa. Wonder what we're gonna do here. Oh wait, isn't that Calvaris guy here? Is he gonna see us and be like, what the hell have he done?
Then he saw her. Zenobia. She was a ghost too. She ran off when she saw him. How could a ghost be afraid? He followed her. He had to.
Follow Zenobia. Will do.
Renato followed Zenobia's ghost. Had he gone mad, seeing ghosts? Was she running from him or leading him somewhere? He'd come here to be alone, but he'd never been less alone in his life. Every raven he'd slain haunted these rocks. Was this who he was? A killer. He was terribly good at killing. He was an adventurer. Or was that just another word for killer? You kill, whispered the stone. It is what your master saw. Embrace this destiny.
I don't think I want to. You don't decide my destiny for me. Plus, apparently Renardo has no idea what destiny means, so you know.
So, who's your next of kin? Just wondering.
Ns. Zenobia! Oh, hey, girl. Ooh, more ravens, too. At least I think. Can't really see them that well, because, you know, for one, they're transparent, and their ghost cells are the same color as the snow. Come on.
Tried to focus on the job he had to do. The rebellion. Wasn't there a battle coming soon? There'd be ravens to kill. Even an emperor. Such killing. Much wow. Ooh, he'd never been so excited.
So,
At the end of the mountain path, Zenobia awaited him.
Why did you kill me? She said. I was your prisoner, and I loved you.
I needed the power, he said. Haven't you heard? There's a war on.
Then what's your excuse for killing me?
Asked his old friend Lapino, stepping out of the shadows.
Because a filthy traitor?
Said Renato. For once, Lapino didn't reply.
The demon has twisted you, said Zenobia. Abandon the stone. You've lost too much already.
Her words bit deeper than any sword ever had. So he shook his head, and once again swung his blade through her and Lapino.
oh damn.
It had to all mean something. If he gave up the stone now, he would have sacrificed Zenobia and Lapino for nothing. So, Renato set course for the Imperial fleet, where he would end it all. The Emperor, the war, the madness. Renato boarded an Imperial ship. No one could stop him slashing his way towards the Emperor. Yes, that was right. To give up now would be to lose everything for nothing. But if he could liberate the land from the Mad Emperor, then he could give up the stone in peace. And those were absolutely his own thoughts. Not the stone manipulating him, right?
Yeah.
Exulted the stone. He could hear a tiny voice within him. Have to kill the Emperor. Told him. That's what it meant to be a hero. To do what had to be done, no matter how terrible the cost.
Yes. And then you can have peace.
Promised the stone.
Kill the Emperor. I don't think it's gonna be that easy, but okay. So how's this gonna be quite different?
Ever wonder why the Imperial Raiders are always hiring?
The tiny voice, whatever it was silent. He couldn't see ghosts around him, but he could feel them. If he gave up now, they would be angry. They would have all died for nothing. Who could give up this kind of power? Could anyone?
No.
Oh, he was just a fox with a talent for swordplay. How had this burden come to him? The Emperor offered the sword. Peace. Yes, peace. That is what he wanted now.
Hey-ya. Please. Whoa, no.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
Das. Okay. Let's see how this is gonna be different.
The Emperor was cowering in front of his ship.
No, please don't kill me.
Croaked Emperor Isengrim III.
Here, take the crown. I don't want it anymore.
You must kill him, or he will have his troops. He will send assassins.
Please, have mercy. The rebellion is won. Or you could be emperor. I'll just go be a scientist or minstrel or sell gummy bears. Yeah, I promise not to bother you.
What we gonna do?
With all the love he'd ever had for Zenobia, for Lupino, for the kit foxes he would never have, Renato raised his sword. And Renato plunged his sword into his own chest.
Oh.
Wait. What? Renato screamed as his life force ebbed into the stone and surged back into him, and ebbed out and surged back in. Screamed the stone. It began to heat up. What have you done? The stone began to glow. It became white hot. It became lava. Nice knowing you, said Renato, as the lava ran like butter. And he died.
Damn. New story completed. Story number 13. Voices. What kind of hero are you? A hero who does what needs to be done, no matter the cost. Reward level up. Ooh. 13 voices. Find the gem. Find Zenobia. Kill Zenobia. Listen to the voices. The Iblis Stone had promised great power in exchange for blood and death. So Nardo killed foes, friends, anyone who stood in his way. Then he heard the distant voices. They were begging him to free himself from the gem. First the voices of those he had killed, then another voice, a tiny voice that sounded just like him, from the deepest recesses of his mind. Renardo's humanity was hanging by a single thread that killing the Emperor would break. As it was about to happen, Renardo plunged his sword in his own chest. His inner voice had lulled the gem into complacency, giving him a window to act. In death, he was free. What kind of hero are you? A hero who does what he needs to be done. Okay. And with that, that'll be all for today. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful time. If you're watching on Twitch and you like what you see, please consider following the channel because it helps a lot. And if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, please consider like, commenting, and subscribing. Oh my god, I almost completely forgot what to say. But, yeah. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see all of you wonderful people next time. Be safe, everybody.